Hi everyone. So this video is part 4 of working with data. Let's see what are the objectives of today's lecture. The objective of this lecture is to understand the group and summarize function and put them into practice. So let's move forward. First of all, dplyr package provides various functions for data manipulation. Some common functions are group by and summarize. So today's lecture is based on these two functions. So let's try to understand group by function. The group function in the dplyr package allows data manipulation functions to be performed by group. It converts an existing data table into a grouped table, where operations are performed on a group by group basis. The syntax is quite simple. You just have to write down the function name, which is group by, and then pass the data frame and then the variable or column by which you want to group the data frame. Now let's move to RStudio. First of all, I will load the package of dplyr, and then I will set the working directory so that I can read my stored CSV file from my local system, and the file is in data size R folder. Next, I will say msleep, and I will read the CSV file with the help of read.csv function. Now here I will pass the CSV file name, which is msleep.csv, and here I would say head msleep so that I can see the first few observations of my data frame. Let's run it. All right, so you can see all of the columns of your data frame. Let's say I want to use the group by function by using pipe operator. So I will say msleep, and then I will use the pipe operator, and here I will say group by, and after calling the function I will say group by this data frame with the variable of name. Let's run it. All right, so now you can see here that your data frame is now grouped by name. Now this command is equivalent of saying group by, and by passing the name of the data frame, I say that group by data frame by name. So you can see that the output is same with both of the commands. Let's comment it. Now group by function also gives you one more facility, such as you say msleep and then use the pipe operator, and here you use the function of group by, and you say that group by data frame with name and var and body weight, and as I want to see only a few rows, so I will also use the head function. Now let's run it. So you can see here that now your data frame is grouped by name, var, and body weight. And this command is equivalent of saying group by msleep data frame and take the name, var, and body weight variable. Now, another interesting thing about group by function with the help of pipe operator is that you can use two or more functions with group by, such as I say take this msleep data frame, and here I will use the pipe operator. All right, now I will say group by, and then I will say group the data frame by name, var, and body weight. And here once again, I will use the bar operator and I will say select because I want to select only name, var, and body weight from my data frame. And here I will say, now let's run it. So you can see here that now a group is created of name, var, and body weight columns. And with the help of select function, only those values are selected which we performed in select function. Let's say this time, after making a group, I use one more function such as filter, and I say that give me the values for only those rows which contains the var of Herbie. All right, so you can see the output here. So that is how you can use the function of group by to group the columns. Now let's move back to slides. Next we have summarize function. The summarize function reduces multiple values down to a single summary, typically used on group data created by group by. The output will have one row for each group, condensing various values to a single value. The syntax is as follows. You just have to use the summarize function by calling through its name, then pass the data frame and the helper functions on the variables. Now let's try to implement. I will say head, sleep. Now let's say I want to create a statistical summary of body weight. So in order to do that, first of all, I will pass the data frame and then I will use the pipe operator and here I will call the summarize function. And inside this function, I will say mean body weight equals to mean, and inside the mean, I will pass body weight, column name, and I also want to calculate the minimum body weight, and I will use the min function, and here I will pass the column name, and I also want to calculate the maximum body weight, which I can by using the maximum helper function. And just like the previous one, I will pass the column name. Now let's run it. So you can see here that the mean body weight is 166.13 and something. And the minimum body weight is 0.005 and the maximum body weight is 6,654. So this is how you can generate a statistical summary of any column by using the summarize function. Now let's say, for instance, I want to generate a summary of brain weight as well. So I will say sleep and I will use the pipe operator and now I will use the summarize function and here I will say mean brain weight equals to mean and brain weight, and then I will also calculate the minimum brain weight and I will say mean brain weight, and just like the previous one, I will use the max function to calculate the maximum brain weight. But you can notice one thing here, which is that some of the values are missing and you can see NA instead of those values. So in order to ignore the missing values, I will say NA.RM, which represents remove, NA.RM equals to true. because I'm just going to ignore those values. All right, let's run it. Now you can note one important thing here, which is that brain width column contains a lot of missing values. In order to prevent this issue, I will say na.rm equals to true in each helper function, which will basically ignore all of the missing values. So we are good to go. Let's run it. So now you can see here that the mean brain weight is 0.28 and the minimum is 0.00014 and the maximum is 5.7. Now, summarize function can also be used with the group by function, which is quite efficient because we also want to generate summary of the columns which are used in the group by function. Now let's say I use the data frame sleep, and then I use the Piper operator. And first of all, I say group by name, war, sleep, total, and body weight. And after this group by function, I use another nested function, which is of summarize. And inside this summarize function, I say count equals to n, which is definitely going to count the number of special values inside the column. And then I say minimum body weight equals to min, and here I will pass the body weight, and then I say max body weight equals to max body weight. And similarly, I will also calculate the minimum and maximum sleep total, which I have used in the group by. So I will say minimum sleep total equals to minimum, and then I will pass the column name sleep total. And just like that, I will say maximum sleep total equals to max, and then I will pass the column name. So this is my statement. First of all, I have used the data frame name, then I have used the group by function, and I said that group the data frame by name, var, sleep total, and body weight. And then I have used the summarize function, and I have calculated the summary of some more variables. Now let's run it. All right, so now you can see here that you have name, you have war, you have sleep total, and you have body weight. The count is 1 for each of them. Like you have one different species, and the minimum sleep is for each name, and then the maximum sleep for each name. And just like that, you have here minimum and maximum body weight for each of the species. Now let's take one more example, but first I will say head and sleep, and this time I say take the sleep data frame, and with the help of Piper operator, I will use the group by function, and I say that group by my data frame by var, and then I use another nested operation. Then I say summarize and count equals to n. So this helper function will actually count each of the distinct values for my column var. And I say main body weight equals to minimum body weight and max body weight equals to max body weight. And now I will run it. So you can see here that you have got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 different species in war. Unfortunately, the 5 represents a missing value. So the count for carnivore is 19, and the count for herbivore is 32. And this is here is the minimum body weight in carnivore, herbivore, insecti, and omnivore. And this is the maximum body weight. You can see here we have got a herbivore that has the maximum body weight of 6,654. So that is how you can use a group by function and summarize function. Now, an important point to consider here is that you can also use other functions in group by, such as arrange and filter function. Let's say I copy the same function and this time I use one more function, which is filter function. I use the pipe operator and I say that filter and show me the statistics of only those columns that have a maximum body weight greater than 1000. Let's run it. So you can see here that you have got only herbivore species that have the body weight greater than 1000. Now let's move back to slides. Now we have got a little homework for you. Your homework is to use the deploy script function to convert an existing data table into a grouped data table. Utilize deploy summarize function to reduce multiple values down to a single summary. And in the last, there is the link of the dataset, which you can simply access by clicking for one time. Now, good luck. See you next time.